the dim corridors of history, where empires fell, where blood dried on ancient marble, where the minds of giants etched whispers into the stone of time, one thing remained: philosophy, not as a luxury, not as idle thought, but as survival for the soul, as a lifeline for those who dared to ask why they even existed in the first place. It's not an art for the safe. It's a weapon for those at war with themselves. You see, we've inherited a world that bombards us with distraction, pleasure over purpose, convenience over character. And in all this noise, we've forgotten something vital, that there's a part of us waiting to be awakened, a silent, feral truth beneath the surface of who we pretend to be. Today, we dig that part out. We sharpen it. We breathe it into flame. Because buried under the ruins of modern decay lies the ancient fire that still knows your name. We suffer, not because the world is cruel, but because we keep trying to control what was never ours. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." He wasn't offering comfort. He was revealing the chains we build in our minds. You can't control what they say. You can't control how they betray you. You can't stop the chaos. But you can choose how you show up in it. That's Stoicism. The ruthless discipline of only investing energy into what you control. Your thoughts, your attitude, your response. The rest? Let it burn. Let it fall. Let it rot if it must. You owe it nothing. Indifference doesn't mean apathy. It means composure. It means being the eye in the hurricane, not the leaf caught in the wind. This isn't passive acceptance. This is active freedom. When you no longer waste your spirit chasing the uncontrollable, you become unstoppable. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. No, it exposes you. It reveals what you really are. And most of us, we're terrified of what's beneath the surface. Nietzsche didn't speak to the crowd. He spoke to the one in the corner, the exile, the black sheep, the one who's tasted hell and still stands. The will to power is not about dominating others. It's about conquering yourself, about ripping the weakness out of your bones and replacing it with fire. It's about walking into suffering, not with fear, but with hunger. Pain is no longer your enemy. It's your raw material. You think success comes from motivation? No. It comes from dragging yourself forward when your heart is broken, your knuckles are bleeding, and every voice says, "Give up." And you answer, "No, not yet." Your beliefs, they were handed to you by frightened people, by broken systems, by liars in pretty suits. Socrates knew this. He knew truth doesn't come from answers. It comes from questions. Why do you believe what you believe? Why do you fear what you fear? Why are you who you are? Ask, and keep asking, until the layers peel off and you're face to face with the raw, scarred creature inside. Then, keep asking, because that is where truth begins, when lies start screaming to stay alive. To question is to rebel. To question is to carve out your identity with a knife made of thought. And most of the world would rather sleep, but not us. No, we were born to wake up screaming. You chase intensity. You binge. You break. You burn out. You think balance is for the weak. No, balance is for the ones who plan to endure. Aristotle saw virtue not in extremes, but in mastery of the middle. Not in recklessness nor cowardice, but in courage. Not in indulgence nor denial, but in discipline. The world pulls you in all directions. One says work yourself to death. The other whispers, numb yourself with pleasure. And both are traps. The golden mean is the edge between chaos and control. To walk that edge takes more strength than falling into either side. It is the blade's path, and those who walk it are rare. They are deliberate, unshakable, dangerous. The world is not here to give you meaning. It's not here to make sense. It's a stage with no script, and you're holding the pen. Existentialism stares into the abyss and doesn't look away. It tells you, there is no destiny, no divine plan, only you, your decisions, your creation. Terrifying, yes, but also liberating, because it means no one can take your purpose, because you're the one who built it. And if your life feels empty, then maybe you've been waiting for meaning instead of making it. You want freedom? Take responsibility for your thoughts, for your patterns, for your life. That's the price. That's the weight. That's the glory. Attachment is a chain, polished, comfortable, addictive, but a chain nonetheless. You cling to people who've already let go. You cling to a future that may never come. You cling to who you were, instead of becoming what you could be. Buddha didn't say, don't love. He said, don't imprison your happiness in things that can vanish. Non-attachment doesn't mean you feel less. It means you fear less. It means you hold life with open hands. You stop squeezing it until it bleeds. Let go. Not because you're weak, but because you finally understand you were never in control. In detachment, there is strength. And in that strength, peace. You live among shadows, reflections of what could be. Plato saw the truth. We are not here to copy the world. We are here to transcend it. The theory of forms tells us there are ideals, truth, beauty, virtue, and you are meant to embody them. Not perfectly, not completely, but relentlessly. To live without chasing the ideal is to rot in mediocrity. You were not made to coast. You were made to climb. To look in the mirror and ask, is this the best I can be? And if the answer is no, then you keep going. Your highest self is out there calling you. Not with comfort, but with fire. This is not poetry. This is war. A war against apathy, against distraction, against the slow death of your potential. Each of these philosophies, each ancient whisper, is a sword, not to decorate your shelf, but to carry into battle, to live deliberately, to suffer meaningfully, to rise brutally, to love without chains, to question everything, to endure with grace, to walk the edge with poise. This is your armor. This is your fire. Because you are not ordinary. You are not a victim. You are the flame that thinks. So light yourself and burn through the fog. Burn until they see you, until you see yourself. The journey is yours, and the time is now. Lesson 1. Master the sphere of control. Stoicism. Dark truth. Most of your pain is self-inflicted, not because you're weak, but because you're reaching for things that were never yours to hold. The reality. You are drowning in illusion. Look around you. The world is screaming for your attention. Politics, opinions, weather, strangers, algorithms, people's moods, people's reactions, people's validation. None of it is in your control. And yet, you hand them your peace every day. You rage at traffic. You spiral over messages never sent. You obsess over the past and fantasize about futures that will never exist. You waste the fire inside on things that neither know nor care you exist. This is not just inefficiency. This is spiritual suicide. The Stoic code: control what's yours. Let the rest burn. The Stoics weren't detached because they didn't feel. They were detached because they had clarity. They understood that life would test them, betray them, and crush them. So they sharpened one weapon: focus. They drew a line in the dirt. On one side, their mind, their thoughts, their choices. On the other, everything else. They guarded that line like warriors. And in doing so, they found something the world rarely touches: unshakable peace. Your mission: become ruthlessly selective with your energy. You want power? Then stop bleeding out over things you cannot control. You must become surgical, brutal, clear. When life throws chaos at you, ask only one question: is this within my power? If the answer is no, then drop it. Let it fall like a corpse and move forward. Every moment you obsess over what others think, every second you argue with a reality you can't change, you weaken. You trade power for panic, purpose for distraction. But every time you pull back that focus to what is truly yours, you fortify. Build the habit of inner control. 1. List your current worries. Break out your journal. Spill it all. Everything you're angry about, afraid of, anxious about. Now go down the list. Circle only the ones that you personally, directly control. If it depends on someone else's thoughts, behavior, approval, or a force of nature, it's not yours. Burn the rest, mentally or literally. 2. Live one day like a Stoic. Every time you feel overwhelmed, triggered, or stressed, pause. Whisper the question: is this within my power? If it isn't, release it. Refocus. Realign. Let nothing steal your peace unless you willingly hand it over. 3rd journal. Prompt: did I waste energy today? At the end of the day, write: what did I obsess over that wasn't mine to fix or change? How could I have used that energy differently? What did I actually control today? And how did I handle it? Make it honest. Make it brutal. The truth is your blade. Reflection. Burn this into your mind. What would I be capable of if I only focused on what's mine to control? Imagine the focus, the clarity, the stillness in chaos. Imagine walking through hell with your spine straight, because the fire outside never touches the fire within. That is what awaits you. If you stop feeding your energy to ghosts, you are not powerless, but you are leaking power. It's not that you don't have enough time. It's not that you lack motivation or talent. It's that your mind is tangled in things you were never meant to carry. Untangle it. Take the blade of stoicism and cut ruthlessly. What is yours? Own it fully. What is not? Bury it. This is the beginning of everything. Lesson 2. Embrace the will to power. Nietzsche. Dark truth. Pain will either forge your power or expose your cowardice. The lie you've been sold: avoid pain, seek comfort, play it safe. Every institution you've ever passed through, school, workplace, even home, whispers the same message. Avoid pain. Don't push too far. Stay in line. Play it safe. They want you numb, predictable, obedient. They want you to fear pain because pain wakes you up, and a man who is awake is dangerous. Nietzsche's call: transcend your small self. Friedrich Nietzsche didn't preach comfort. He prophesied transformation. To him, pain wasn't an obstacle. It was the doorway. That which does not kill me makes me stronger. Not poetic, not romantic, instructional. He saw human beings as something not yet finished, something incomplete, and only those who endured suffering, willingly, could rise above the herd. He called this rise the will to power, not domination of others, but domination of yourself, of your fear, of your weakness, of your excuses. The shift. Pain is not the enemy. It is the architect. Here's the brutal truth. Every time you run from discomfort, you confirm your limitations. Every time you avoid a challenge, you say, I am not strong enough. But when you choose the pain, when you walk into the fire on purpose, you send a different message. I am here. I am capable. I will rise. Pain is the forge. Your weakness is the raw ore. The heat is your decision. Your transformation is earned, not given. Objective. Build the discipline to seek voluntary struggle. This is not about masochism. It's not about hurting for the sake of hurting. It's about seeing discomfort as your compass. When your instinct says run, that's your signal to move closer. Because on the other side of discomfort is the next version of you, the one who doesn't flinch. Actions turn pain into power. 1. Identify. One fear or weakness you've been avoiding. Stop lying to yourself. You know what it is. That thing you never speak aloud. That conversation you won't have. That skill you haven't trained. That pattern you keep escaping into. Write it down. Now commit. This week, I confront it. 2. Adopt a challenge of the day. Every morning, write down one uncomfortable task you will complete. It could be cold exposure, having a hard conversation, public speaking, intense physical training, doing the thing you've been procrastinating for months. The key is this. It must scare you slightly. That's how you know it's worthy. By the end of the week, you will be 7 battles deeper into becoming unstoppable. 3. Daily incantation. This will not break me. It will build me. Say it out loud. When it hurts, when you're tired, when your mind begs for relief, say it again. It is not a mantra. It is a contract with your future self. Reflection. Prompt. Burn it into your mind. Am I avoiding pain, or am I turning it into power? Where have I played small? What would my life look like if I turned every obstacle into a weapon? Don't just reflect. Confront. Interrogate yourself. Ask why you avoid the fire, and who you could become if you stopped running. Bonus ritual. Write your scar journal. Each night, write down one thing you did that made you uncomfortable, what you felt during it, what you learned from it. Watch your resilience expand. Watch your tolerance for fear shrink. Watch yourself harden, beautifully, deliberately, into someone who no longer begs the world to be easy, because they've become strong. The pain is coming either way. You don't get to avoid suffering. Life will hurt you. But if you choose your pain, if you hunt your demons instead of hiding from them, you become more than human. You become the force that turns pressure into power. You become the flame that forges itself. So lean into it. Smash the fear and rise. Lesson 3. Question everything. Socratic method. Dark truth. Most of what you believe about yourself is a lie. Not because you're a liar, but because someone else wrote the script you're still acting out. The unseen cage. Inherited beliefs. Borrowed limitations. Silent chains. You live inside a house of mirrors. Every reflection shows you something, but none of it is real. You say, I'm not confident. I'm bad at money. I could never lead. I always mess things up. But let's ask the forbidden question. Who told you that? Was it a parent? A teacher? Some kid who mocked you in 3rd grade? Or was it just the slow, grinding weight of society carving your identity without permission? You wear beliefs like scars, believing they're part of you. But what if they're not? What if most of who you think you are is nothing more than an echo. The method: Socratic interrogation, ruthless, curious, freeing. Socrates wasn't trying to be polite. He wasn't interested in making you feel good about your beliefs. He was interested in truth, even if it meant destroying your entire identity to find it. The unexamined life is not worth living. That wasn't a quote. It was a warning. The Socratic method is the practice of questioning everything, especially your own assumptions. Why do you think the way you think? Why do you feel shame about your body? Why do you believe your voice doesn't matter? Is it fact or programming? Objective. Develop the habit of deep, uncomfortable self-inquiry. You are not weak, but you may be unexamined, and that is far more dangerous. The goal here is not to destroy your beliefs for the sake of it. The goal is to burn away the false ones, so you can finally see yourself clearly. Only then can you act from truth, not reaction. Only then can you build you, not what the world trained you to be. Actions: weaponize self-inquiry. 1. Choose one core belief and interrogate it. Pick a belief you've held for years. Something subtle. For example, I'm not creative. I don't deserve success. People always leave me. I'm just bad at relationships. Now ask, why do I believe this? What's the evidence? Where did this belief come from? Who benefits from me believing this? Is this always true, or just sometimes? Write your answers down. You'll be shocked at how weak most of them are. That's how you know they're false. 2. Engage in Socratic dialogue with someone. Next time someone expresses a belief, don't just nod. Ask, why do you think that? Then, why? And again, why? Do this 5 times. You're not trying to challenge them. You're practicing the method. You'll see how quickly the foundation of any belief crumbles when you chase it to its roots. 3. Journal a belief autopsy. Weekly. Pick one belief a week to dissect, about yourself, the world, or others. Write down what the belief is, where you think it came from, whether it helps or hinders you, what new belief you could adopt instead. This practice will rewire your mental architecture over time. Reflection prompt. Strip yourself bare. What parts of me are inherited, and what parts are actually me? If I lost all my memories, what values, truths, and instincts would I rebuild from scratch? What false beliefs am I defending because I'm afraid of who I might become without them? Sit with this. Let it hurt. This is the sound of chains breaking. Bonus ritual. Burn the old blueprint. When you identify a belief that has ruled your life without merit, write it down on paper. Say it aloud, then light it on fire. Watch the smoke rise. Watch it vanish. Let that be the last time it owns you. You are not your programming. You've been conditioned. We all have. But that doesn't make the lies true. You can question your story. You can rewrite your script. You can rebuild your mind from rubble and ruin. And in doing so, you don't just find clarity. You become dangerous. Because a mind that questions itself is a mind that no one else can control. Lesson 4. Walk the blade. Aristotle's golden mean. Dark truth. Extremes feel powerful, but they secretly hollow you out. They don't give you control. They give you addiction. The seduction of extremes, power in disguise. The world pushes you to choose sides. Work until you collapse or escape into endless leisure. Be silent and passive, or loud and reckless. Give everything in a relationship, or take until there's nothing left. We are seduced by extremes because they feel intense. Intensity feels like truth. It feels like identity. But what it really is an escape from nuance, from responsibility, from the discipline of thinking. Extremes are easy. Balance, that takes strength. The philosophy, the golden mean, is the warrior's path. Aristotle knew this. He didn't glorify pleasure. He didn't romanticize pain. He pointed to the middle, not the safe zone, but the sharpest edge. The blade between cowardice and recklessness, between indulgence and starvation, between becoming a slave to chaos and a prisoner of control. Virtue is the mean between two vices. The golden mean isn't mediocrity, it's mastery. The fight. Balance is not a feeling, it's a discipline. You won't feel like walking the line. Your emotions will scream for the high. Your ego will beg for the low. But balance doesn't obey impulse. It obeys intention. To walk the blade is to make conscious choices in an unconscious world. To hold your ground when the storm says run. To act with restraint when vengeance feels holy. To rest when grind culture tells you to bleed more. To grind when weakness whispers, you've earned a break. Balance isn't soft, it's surgical. Objective. Train your emotional and behavioral discipline to choose the edge. This is the core of the mean. Every day, every action, every word. Ask yourself, not what feels good, not what looks good, but what is right, what is virtuous, what walks the blade. Actions. Rewire yourself to walk the mean. 1. Audit the extremes in your life. Rate yourself from 1, deficiency, to 10, excess, in these key areas. Work. Are you overworking or avoiding effort? Rest. Too little or using it as an escape. Relationships. Overdependent, detached. Discipline. Obsessed with perfection or constantly slacking. Emotion. Suppressing them or ruled by them. Circle the areas far from 5, the center. Pick 1. That's your target. 2. Create a daily practice to pull it towards center. If you overwork, set a hard shutdown time. If you avoid effort, schedule non-negotiable action blocks. If you're too reactive emotionally, start a 2-minute pause rule before responding to triggers. Balance isn't built in theory, it's trained through ritual. 3rd track, emotional spikes. Every time you feel a surge of anger, elation, sadness, anxiety, ask, is this virtuous or just indulgent? Is this courage or recklessness? Is this joy or escapism? Is this rest or withdrawal? Is this discipline or self-punishment? Let the question slice through the illusion. Reflection. Prompt. Test your resolve. Am I strong enough to choose balance even when extremes feel better? Do I feed on emotional highs because they make me feel alive? Or am I grounded enough to create meaning in the quiet, deliberate middle? Sit with this. This isn't a question for comfort seekers. This is a question for those ready to build a life that doesn't collapse when the feelings fade. Bonus ritual. The blade walk. Each week, pick one area where you typically swing to an extreme. Write it at the top of a page. Underneath, track. When you indulge the extreme. When you resisted and chose the middle. What each choice cost you or gave you. This visual record will reveal the patterns and your power to interrupt them. Balance is not neutral, it's nuclear. The world will push you to be dramatic, reactive, excessive, because that's how systems control you. They want you unbalanced, because balance creates clarity. And clarity, that's dangerous. So choose it. Choose the edge. Walk the blade. Not because it's easy, but because it's the path of someone who refuses to be ruled by emotion or chaos. Balance is not weakness. It is the calm hand of a warrior who knows when to strike and when to wait. Lesson 5. Forge your purpose. Existentialism. Dark truth. Life is meaningless until you give it meaning. And if you don't, the world will give you one. Small, hollow, and not your own. The lie. Meaning will find you. You've been told to find your purpose, as if it's a gift wrapped somewhere in the world, waiting to be discovered. No, there is nothing waiting for you. There is no map, no blueprint, no divine whisper that tells you why you were born. You weren't given meaning. You were given the burden and the privilege of creating it. The philosophy, freedom with no guardrails. Existentialism doesn't coddle. It doesn't pat you on the back and say, everything happens for a reason. It looks you dead in the eye and says, the universe owes you nothing, but you can still create everything. When Nietzsche said, he who has a why to live for can bear almost any how, he was handing you a sword, not to fight others, but to carve your purpose from the void. You see, the horror of existence is also its beauty. Nothing is predetermined. You are free, utterly, terrifyingly. And what you do with that freedom will define everything. The crisis. Drift or forge. Without a purpose, you will drift. Into addictions, into distractions, into other people's dreams, into a job you hate, a life that bores you, and a death no one notices. A life without purpose is not just dull, it's dangerous. Because when nothing matters, everything tempts you to waste it. But when your purpose is real, when it's raw, you become anchored, grounded, unshakable. Storms don't sway you. Failure doesn't define you. Pain becomes fuel, because you know why you're here. Objective. Create a why that makes you bleed with intention. This isn't about some cheesy vision board. This is about staring into the black hole of existence and saying, here's what I'm doing with this life, no matter what. Your why isn't for Instagram. It's for the nights when you're broken and still choose to rise. It's for the mornings when there's no applause, no motivation, just grit. It's the reason you keep going when nothing else makes sense. Actions. Forge your purpose in the fire. 1. Write your why manifesto. Lock yourself in a room. Turn off the noise. Ask yourself the hard question. If I removed every lie I've believed about success, identity, and expectations, what would I still want to live for? Write it down. Bleed onto the page. Don't make it pretty. Make it true. Make it hurt a little. That's how you know it's yours. Your why manifesto should terrify you, because it calls out the version of you that's hiding. 2. Review and realign. Weekly. Create a ritual. Every week, read your why manifesto out loud. Then ask, what actions this week aligned with this purpose? What actions betrayed it? What do I need to change immediately? Your purpose doesn't live in your mind. It lives in your calendar. If your schedule doesn't reflect your why, then your life doesn't either. 3. Use purpose as your compass. Every time you face resistance or indecision, ask, does this move me closer to my purpose or pull me further from it? This is your sword. Use it to cut through the fog. You don't need motivation. You need alignment. Reflection. Prompt. Strip away the masks. If no one was watching, would I still be living this life? Would I still dress this way? Still work this job? Still chase these goals? Or have I been performing someone else's script, afraid to write my own? This question is the knife. Let it cut. Let it bleed out everything that isn't you. Bonus ritual, the deathbed test. Close your eyes. Picture yourself at the end. It's over. There are no more chances to change. You're about to fade. Ask, did I live for something real? Did I build a life that meant something to me? Would I do it again? If the answer is no, then now is your moment. Not tomorrow, not next month. Now, meaning is not given. It is forged. Most people are sleepwalking toward death, chained to narratives they never questioned. But not you. You are the anomaly, the fire, the architect. You were not made to drift. You were made to forge meaning in the dark. And once you do, no storm, no failure, no loss can break you. Because you have a why, and that makes you unbreakable. Lesson 6. Let go or be dragged. Buddhist non-attachment. Dark truth. What you cling to owns you, and eventually, it'll destroy you. The lie. If you hold on tighter, you'll be safe. We all want control, so we grip. People, habits, money, routines, identities. We convince ourselves, if I don't let go, nothing can fall apart. But the universe doesn't work that way. Everything is temporary. Everything you love will change. Everything you are will fade. And the harder you hold on, the more it hurts when it slips through your fingers. Clinging is not strength. It's fear dressed in armor. The philosophy, non-attachment is not indifference. It's liberation. When Buddha said attachment is the root of suffering, he wasn't saying don't love. He wasn't saying don't feel. He was saying, stop letting impermanent things define your sense of self. Non-attachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you don't depend. You don't worship the outcome. You don't sell your peace to things you were never meant to own. True freedom is when your happiness no longer hinges on external validation, possession, or permanence. That's when nothing can be taken from you, because you've already let it go. The cage. You are owned by what you refuse to release. Think about it. That relationship you can't stop replaying in your head. That title you built your entire identity around. That fear of losing control, success, appearance, comfort. It owns you. It puppeteers your behavior. You shape your choices around keeping it, preserving it, or getting it back. And in doing so, you become a slave to something that was never yours to begin with. Objective. Loosen the grip. Reclaim your power. You can't control everything. You're not supposed to. Your job is to live fully, love deeply, act with intention, and then let go. Let go of the outcome. Let go of the image. Let go of the fantasy that things will stay the same. And in that letting go, something strange happens. You stop suffering. You start breathing. You stop reacting. You start creating. Actions. Practice letting go before life forces it. 1. Identify 3 attachments you fear losing. Write them down. Be honest. What are the things, people, or illusions you cling to for dear life? Examples. A relationship that's already fractured. The identity of being successful. Comfort zones that feel like home, but chain you in place. The validation you chase online. The illusion that you're in control. These are your anchors, and they're heavy. 2. Practice micro-detachment. Each day, choose one small thing to let go of. It could be not checking social media for a day, skipping a comfort food, allowing someone to be upset with you without defending yourself, letting a plan fall apart without trying to control it. This isn't self-punishment. This is resilience training. Little by little, You build the muscle of surrender. So when life rips something from your hands, you don't shatter. You exhale. Third, meditate 10 minutes a day on impermanence. Sit, breathe, watch your thoughts. Let them pass like clouds. Watch the feeling rise, fear, desire, anxiety, and don't grab it. Let it drift. The truth is, you are not your thoughts. You are the one watching them. That space between you and your emotions. That's your power. Reflection. Prompt. Peel back the illusion. What would I be without the things I cling to? If I lost the title, the relationship, the approval, would I still know who I am? Am I living, or am I preserving an identity built on fear of loss? Sit with this question. Write until it hurts. Until the answer cracks something open. That's how you know you're getting close to the truth. Bonus ritual, burn the rope. Take a piece of paper. Write down one thing you've been clinging to. Something that owns you. That whispers to you in the dark. That defines your worth without asking permission. Burn it. Watch it vanish. Breathe in the space it leaves behind. Do it again next week, until nothing owns you but your own presence. Letting go is not weakness. It is mastery. The world tells you to hold on, to grip harder, to wrap your identity around things that cannot last. But the path to freedom is not through control. It's through release. Because when you let go, you don't lose power. You become it. You are not your attachment. You are not your loss. You are the one who stands after it's all gone. The one who remains. Let go or be dragged. The choice is yours. Lesson 7. Chase the ideal. Plato's forms. Dark truth. You are only scratching the surface of who you could become. Not because you lack potential, but because you stopped reaching for what can never be fully held. The illusion. You're good enough. You've achieved some things. You've grown. You've healed. You've improved from who you were 5 years ago. But here's the trap. You confuse progress with completion. You start settling into comfort. You think growth has a finish line. You tell yourself, I've done enough. That's how people die before they're buried. Not because they failed, but because they stopped becoming. The philosophy. There is a perfect form, and you must chase it. Plato believed that the world we see is a shadow of the world that truly exists. Truth, beauty, goodness, strength, wisdom. These aren't just words. They are forms, perfect ideals that exist beyond this physical world. We never fully reach them. But the point isn't to reach. The point is to pursue. The ideal you, the highest, purest version of your potential, is not some motivational fantasy. It is a standard, a direction, a reason to keep climbing, even when the summit disappears into the clouds. To chase the ideal is to live in constant, intentional evolution. To wake up and say, I will never be finished, but I will always be rising. The dagger. You already know who you could be. You're just afraid of it. The greatest version of you doesn't exist in mystery. You already see glimpses of it. In the discipline you avoid, in the love you sabotage, in the power you silence to keep others comfortable, in the courage you drown in excuses. You know who you could become, and that's what haunts you. Not failure, but the ghost of your potential, standing silently in the corner, watching you live a fraction of the life you were built for. Objective. Relentlessly pursue the highest within you. You don't need more hacks. You don't need more motivation. You need a North Star. A vision so clear and demanding that it sets every standard in your life. That's what this lesson is. Not a goal, a way of being. Actions. Step into the form. 1. Create your form list. Define the highest version of yourself in these 3 eternal categories. Truth. What does radical honesty look like in my thoughts, speech, and actions? Where am I lying to others or to myself? Beauty. What would it mean to create, live, and move in a way that inspires and uplifts? How can I bring grace, style, and order to my body, my words, my space? Goodness. What does it mean to act with integrity, even when no one's watching? How do I serve, protect, and lead with purpose? Write these answers like commandments. This is your code, your invisible crown. 2. 1 hour a week as your ideal self. Pick a time. 1 hour where you live fully as the highest version of yourself. Not trying, not planning. Being. Speak how they would speak. Dress how they would dress. Think, move, and create as if you are already them. Do this enough times, and you won't be pretending anymore. 3rd shift. The question, from easy to aligned. From now on, erase this question from your life. Is this easy? Replace it with, does this move me toward my ideal self? That is now your compass. If it doesn't move you forward, it's a distraction, no matter how pleasurable it feels. Reflection prompt. Face the standard. What would it look like to embody the greatest version of me every single day? What would I no longer tolerate? What would I begin today with no hesitation? Who would I be if I stopped betraying my potential? You don't need to become someone else. You need to stop avoiding who you already are, beneath the fear, the doubt, the layers of societal noise. Bonus ritual. Converse with your future self. Each week, write a letter from your ideal self to your current self. Let them speak. Let them correct you. Let them guide you. Then reply. Make this a conversation until your 2 voices become one. You were not built to be comfortable. You were built to become. The pursuit of the ideal is not about perfection. It's about direction. You may never fully become your highest self, but the act of chasing them every day is what keeps you alive. That chase is where honor is forged. That chase is where the real you waits. Not in who you are, but in who you refuse to stop becoming. So chase the form, chase the fire, and leave the shadows behind. Lesson 8. Integrate the warrior philosopher. Dark truth. Wisdom alone is worthless. Knowing the path means nothing if you don't walk it with blood on your boots. The trap. Consuming without transforming. You've read the quotes. You've studied the masters. You've journaled. You've highlighted. You've nodded in understanding. But here's the question that separates the curious from the powerful. Are you living it? Are you different now? Or are you just smarter? With the same habits, same fears, same patterns. Knowledge is just a mirror. Action is the flame that makes it real. The world doesn't need more thinkers. It needs embodied wisdom. People who live the philosophy, not those who admire it from a safe distance. The archetype. Become the warrior philosopher. The Stoics, the existentialists, the Buddhists, the titans of truth. They didn't pursue wisdom to appear enlightened. They studied to survive, to endure, to sharpen their souls like blades. They weren't soft. They weren't gentle. They were dangerous thinkers. Philosophers in the morning, warriors by night. That's your final transformation. To not just learn the fire, but to become the flame, the philosophy, embodied wisdom, lived truth, ruthless alignment. Each of the 7 lessons before this was a weapon. Now it's time to wield them. You must integrate. Fuse mind with behavior. Turn insight into instinct. Turn principles into reflex. This is how you become dangerous. Not because you know more, but because you live what others merely quote. Objective. Fuse these ideas into unbreakable action. This lesson is not about more. It's about distillation. It's about burning away the excess until only the essential remains. A code, a creed, a life built on non-negotiable truth. Actions. Turn philosophy into a code. You bleed for. First, revisit the fire. Go back to your notes, journals, reflections from the past 7 lessons. Read every line you wrote when you were honest, when you cracked. Highlight the lines that changed you. Underline the moments where something shifted. That's your real curriculum. That's your wisdom. Burn everything else. 2. Create your daily code of conduct. Write a personal creed, 3 to 5 lines. Simple, relentless, yours. Example: I control only what's mine. Everything else can burn. I turn pain into power. No excuses. I seek truth over comfort. Always. I balance the blade. I walk the edge. I am not what I own. I am what I endure. Recite it every morning. Live it every hour. Let it carve your identity into bone. 3. Share one lesson with one person. Find someone, friend, stranger, online follower, journal page. Teach them one idea from this path, not to impress, but to solidify your transformation. Teaching makes it real. It pulls the knowledge from thought into language, and from language into legacy. You can't just consume wisdom. You must create with it. Reflection. Prompt. Face the mirror with fire. Have I just consumed wisdom, or have I become the kind of person who lives it? What would someone who fully embodied this philosophy look like today? Would they hesitate? Would they numb themselves? Would they negotiate their standards? Am I that person, or just preparing to be? This is not judgment. It's a call to alignment. Bonus ritual, the embodiment challenge. For 1 week, pick one lesson each day and live it fully. Monday, practice radical indifference, Stoicism. Tuesday, lean into discomfort, Nietzsche. Wednesday, question everything, Socratic method. Thursday, seek balance, golden mean. Friday, act only from your why, existentialism. Saturday, let go of expectations, non-attachment. Sunday, live as your ideal self, Plato. Journal at the end of each day. What changed? What resisted? Who did I become? This is your rite of passage, your battle test. Philosophy without action is a corpse. You've learned, you've reflected, you've awakened. But now comes the part most people never reach. Integration. Will you go back to sleep? Or will you build a life so sharp, so honest, so intentional, that even your presence becomes a challenge to the status quo? Because the true warrior philosopher doesn't speak truth. They walk it. Every step, every scar, every breath. So pick up the code, sharpen the lessons, and become the one who lives what others only preach. Your war is not over, but now you are finally armed. To the returning GrimFace warriors, you already know what this is. You've walked through the storms. You've faced the mirror. You've taken the pain, the truth, the fire, and you've used it to build something real. You don't just watch this content, you live it. And because of that, the world around you is already changing. Because when one person stands tall with honor, they give others permission to rise too. Thank you for walking this path with us. Relentless, ruthless, real. And to those just arriving, you felt it, haven't you? That pull, that quiet rebellion inside. The part of you that knows you were made for more than obedience, more than self-pity, more than surviving a life that doesn't reflect your truth. This movement, GrimFace, is for the ones who dare to rebuild themselves from the ashes. It's for those who want to better the world, not through noise, but through example, through self-respect, through discipline, through honor. We don't preach perfection here. We walk the edge. We take the hits, and we rise, with fire in our chest and our head held high. So if you're ready to stop performing and start becoming, if you're done with the masks, the excuses, the waiting, then join us. Not just as a viewer, but as a warrior. The GrimFace movement is growing, and we don't just want to change ourselves. We're here to challenge the world to rise with us. Stand tall, live true, carry the fire. We'll see you in the next battle.